Hello there, it's SKYMAN Universe here. Now, this is a video which I thought I would make and tell you my reasons for doing this and why I will not be buying Star Wars The Last Jedi on Blu-ray. Now, my first thing is just how they go about releasing these movies in this current time. Now, I never thought Star Wars would do this, but I remember when Desolation came out, Desolation of Smaug, and the Hobbit movies, and the Battle for Five Armies, and Unexpected Journey. Now, what annoyed me the most is that I went to see those movies in 3D, and I feel like those movies had that same sort of feeling, but nowhere near the amount of scale which I'm feeling now for Last Jedi, but it was that sort of empty void you have inside of you after watching those movies. You want it to be Star Wars, you want it to feel like Star Wars, you're expecting greatness on another level, but it didn't happen. And because you love Star Wars so much, you want to make it believe like it did happen in your mind and feel something, but you don't feel enough. And then you're forcing yourself to feel it, and then you realize it was all fake, and you just feel this sort of shame and emptiness inside you because it's nothing like what you watched previously, what it was before. And this is the same with the Hobbit movies for me. When I watched them, I had that sort of emptiness after I finished watching it because I saw greatness with Lord of the Rings, I felt greatness with Lord of the Rings, and I did not feel it with the Hobbit whatsoever. And that's the same with The Last Jedi and these new Star Wars movies. But what really just I hated so much is how they go about releasing these movies. Now, I think and strongly believe when you've paid a lot of money to go see the movie at the cinema, you've seen it in IMAX or 3D or just in normal 2D, you've paid money to go and see that movie. That's great. If the movie's good, that'll make a lot of money, people going back to watch those movies. They shouldn't have to rely on releasing the movie in segments. This is something which I just can't stand whatsoever. Now, Star Wars have taken this approach, which The Hobbit did as well. I remember when I bought The Hobbit on Blu-ray, and I thought, well, that was strange that it hasn't come out in 3D, or perhaps it will later on, and then I'll get to watch it in 3D. And this is exactly what The Last Jedi is doing, is that just releasing the digital version, and then they're releasing the Blu-ray version in 4K, and then they're releasing it on 3D later on. 3 ways for Disney to make money from you. Like, they don't care about you having this movie, you enjoying it. They just want your money. That symbolizes to me just utter greed, which I cannot stand at all. And I thought Lucasfilm would never do something like this. For me, they've just fallen into that category of just money grabbing, thieving, just piss takers, basically. It makes no sense to me why they think a fan, if there are any, of The Last Jedi, this is probably why they're doing it, because there are no fans, but why someone would purchase the digital version online 20 days before it comes out on Blu-ray, and then to have it on Blu-ray in 4K, and then have the movie twice, and then later on in the day release it in 3D Blu-ray. It just makes no sense. Like, I watched the movie in IMAX 3D. If I bought the movie, I would like to have it in 3D because I enjoyed it in that format, so I expect that to come out the same time as the previous releases in different formats. Now, that to me is just the lowest form of marketing that a corporation can have, and of course it's Disney, money grabbing, thieving corporation, where they just don't care. They obviously want the money, and the sales reflect what they're doing here, because The Last Jedi clearly didn't make enough money. So that is one reason why I wouldn't be buying The Last Jedi on Blu-ray 3D. I'm not adding it to my collection because that system I just cannot stand so much. I hate it, and I feel sorry for the people who are actual fans of the movie and they cannot wait to see it. It's kind of laughable to think that someone is in that situation. They cannot wait to see The Last Jedi, and and they want to see the movie and they want to own it on DVD, I don't think they should go about doing that. They should release it or do what other movies do, like Avengers or Harry Potter or something, Fantastic Beasts, where you can buy it. It's in 3D. You have the 3D. If you buy the 3D version, you have 3D, you have Blu-ray, you have digital version. Perfect. The combo, it's all in there. You get what you pay for. You shouldn't have to pay more for the same movie. It makes no sense. I think it's insulting to the viewers and the fans. I just really don't agree with it. So for me, the fact that Last Jedi, Disney and Lucasfilm have gone down this route, I think it's despicable, and they should be allowed to do it. So I really feel sorry for the people who've had to pay more for the movie, or will have to pay more if they want to watch it in 3D when they release it on a later date. It should all be released at the same time. The main reason why I won't be buying The Last Jedi on Blu-ray or DVD or anything like that is because I don't want to own it. I don't want it to sit next to my other Star Wars movies. I just think I'm almost tempted to throw out the Force Awakens and just get rid of it from my DVD shelf and put it on a lower shelf or something, not in my Star Wars collection. The Return of the Jedi was wrapped up so nicely. It's got to be one hell of a story to continue it and make it have purpose. And from The Force Awakens, there were some things in there which kind of gave it a reason to have purpose. With Snoke, the First Order, Rey's parents, her lineage, Luke Skywalker. There were questions set up which gave you a tremendous amount of interest in The Last Jedi. Like, they built up that interest. You were right to have those thoughts in your head. Like it wasn't a bad thing that you had those thoughts in your head. You were right to go into The Last Jedi thinking that those thoughts had great importance because you were made to believe that in The Force Awakens. When I did my review on The Last Jedi, straight away, because my fandom, Star Wars fandom, was always superseded anything, I just wanted to, because it was a Star Wars film, just make it feel good. And I always try to say good things about a movie that I've gone to a midnight viewing for. If it was a bad movie, then I wouldn't make the video. There were some good aspects in The Last Jedi, like some Snoke scenes, a couple of Luke Skywalker scenes, some Leia scenes, definitely not Admiral Akbar scenes.
It's a trap!
It just made me so angry and upset and horrified of what's happened to this franchise and with these movies. In my head, I just don't want to believe that Luke Skywalker has transcended into the Force like this. I don't want to feel like Han Solo got killed by his son on a bridge. Anything that's happened so far, I just don't feel like in my head it's canon. Like, I just want to feel like it's stopped at the end of episode 6. And if they wanted to tell new stories, they should have gone to the prequel side. So going to the Old Republic side, which I have a feeling that they're doing now. I swear to God, if Rian Johnson does that, then just don't keep your expectations down to dinosaur bones right next to them, because they couldn't be any lower. I have zero expectations what they're creating here at the moment, but I digress. This story so far with The Force Awakens and Last Jedi has just been a complete waste of time. It's done nothing that fill you with anguish, hurt, bad emotions. There's just nothing in these movies which I feel like that was amazing, that was so great. The Force Awakens, when I think about that straight away, right now, what comes into my head, Jakku, Finn running around, the Starkiller base blowing up, X-Wings flying down, lots of feminism being pushed in that as well. Yeah, and that's about it. There was no, I suppose there was a lightsaber duel, BB-8, and C-3PO with red arm. There was nothing in that movie which stuck out for me. Now, if I did that with the other Star Wars movies, The Phantom Menace, Duel of the Fates, Pod Racer scene, love those. Attack of the Clones, the massive arena fight with tons of Jedi. I mean, yeah, it was a bit odd, but At the same time, it was bold, and they went there with something. They tried something new. There were cool scenes in there, going through Coruscant with Obi-Wan Kenobi. You know, there were fun, entertaining, bold scenes where there was a lot of vision put into that, and those stories had meaning. Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine turning into Sidious, Anakin turning into Darth Vader. I mean, the film was filled with epic, bold moments in there. A New Hope, just the whole film of A New Hope is iconic and always has been mesmerizing. That set the feel and tone for Star Wars, and that was always been embedded in me. So there's nothing but good nostalgic feelings from that. For me, that is a perfect movie. Empire Strikes Back with Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, and just that eerie feeling of just how Luke Skywalker was feeling at the time with the reveal, Bespin, the Battle of Hoth, AT-ATs, Dagobah, Yoda, the mystic feeling with the Force, just the list continues. Return of the Jedi, the Emperor, Luke Skywalker's duel with Darth Vader, the battle over the Empire, the Mon Calamari's Admiral Akbar. Just there's so many things that happen in there, saving Han Solo and Jabba the Hutt and everything on Tatooine is just a pure brilliant movie for me again. I loved Rogue One. That is something which I think they did a good job on. There were some bits in it which I felt they were a bit different, but overall I found it highly enjoyable because the story had a purpose. There was an overall goal to the story and meaning. I liked the new characters, the majority of them. Darth Vader at the end, that scene will continue to be epic and a big shock because I didn't think Disney would ever go and do something like that, and they did something like that. To me, that was bold and paid off nicely for a nice ending for Rogue One. I actually really liked CGI Grand Moff Tarkin. Ethically, I don't like the reasons for it, but the fact they went there and did something bold like that, I really like that, and he is integral to the story with the Death Star. So obviously, if you're making a film about the Death Star, you should probably have someone important like Grand Moff Tarkin in there. I love Director Krennic, I love Scarif battle, everything to do with that battle and how the tension was built up was just amazing to me. I've done the Force Awakens, just trivial things which sort of led to nothing, and then the Last Jedi. A ship went through hyperspace, blew up Supreme Leader Snoke's ship. Snoke died, didn't find out who Rey's parents were. Luke was a disappointment. I felt bad for his character. Arc 2 continues to be very disappointing. It's like they tried to make it like Dagobah and go in another direction, but I feel like probably Island paid them an exceptional amount of money to include it in their movie Skellig, whatever its name was, Skellig Michael. I just feel like Arc 2 felt like something out of a BBC documentary. It never felt Star Warsy to me, and I think that was one of the biggest concerns I had with this movie, is that there was nothing mystic about this place to me whatsoever. They could show me some old huts and these bird-like things, but there was nothing special about it. It made no sense. Like, I couldn't imagine a single Jedi training on that island. So why the hell that was the first Jedi Temple? If it was the first Jedi Temple, it would make it feel like Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic style, something like that, where it could have been primitive, but it was Star Warsy. But this just didn't feel Star Warsy whatsoever. It just made me think, God, Luke Skywalker doesn't live there. Like, why is he there? Admiral Holdo, just strange character. Rose Tico, just awkward. The so-called adventure in Canto Bight, which just had no purpose. What happened at the end of this movie? So iconic, I can't even remember what happened. Oh yes, the Battle of Crate. Luke Skywalker showing up at the end, I suppose, was kind of cool, with him and Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren, I liked. He was the only thing that I liked in this movie. And I liked when he was smashing up his helmet. There was potential until he had an opportunity to do something with Rey and join and create something new. And then when he turned away, turned his back, I just had enough, because that at that point. We've seen that in The Force Awakens. There is nothing to look forward to in Episode 9, like whatsoever. I've no excitement for the next film. They completely ruined The Last Jedi. The forced feminism, gender pushing in this film is so present and obvious in this film. It just affects the story for me. The characters are ruined, pointless. The story, they just took a dump on J.J. Abrams creating some interesting thoughts, like with Snoke. Just cannot understand what they did and why they did it with Snoke. Rey's parents, just nothing. I will never forget the person that said that The Last Jedi has a bigger reveal than I am your father. And that person, I would like to know how their brain works. Once I saw Admiral Akbar get sucked out, that was how terrible I felt for the rest of the movie. It was that feeling like that's how Disney are treating the iconic characters. That's how much they care about it. They want to bring in their new characters, but it's just not working. It's just failing miserably. And I just feel like they need to quit whilst they're ahead. They're not ahead because they created The Last Jedi and they allowed that to happen. This movie, if shifted around a little bit, would have had great potential. There could have been some really cool things happening in it. Snoke surviving, Luke Skywalker, he could have been like how he was in the film, but then something happens, changes his mind, and then he turns back. He has good reason to turn back into Luke Skywalker we know and love. And oh my goodness, who could have done that? I don't know, maybe someone like Rey. She could have done that, give her character some importance, but no, Rey just teaches herself. The thing that makes me laugh the most is how they're sort of backtracking storytelling. Now, this is something which I notice they're doing quite a lot to kind of make up for the rubbish decisions they're making. Like, the movie comes out, the fans notice something and say, well, what's this all about? How's Rey doing this? And Disney, to defend the stupid decisions in a novelization or something, then they add things, integral things which we should have found out in the movie. They just put it in writing and expect, well, because I've said it, then that's fine. They don't need to add it in the movie, and that's their excuse for not putting it in the movie. And in this case, it was Rey learning all her abilities because she touched Kylo Ren's hand. And when she touched Kylo Ren's hand, she knew how to fight all the Praetorian Guards. Are you seriously expecting us, Disney, to believe that sort of trash which you're coming up with? It just makes no sense whatsoever. It makes sense from your point of view. You allowed Rian Johnson to create this terrible Star Wars movie, so you have to write things in like this to explain what happened to the fans, but you shouldn't have to explain it like this. It should be explained in the film. So it's just things like that, how our iconic Star Wars characters are being treated, like R2-D2, just not being used again at all. He encompasses all things Star Wars for me. Like that scene where he has with Luke Skywalker. I love that scene in The Last Jedi. I thought, wow, I'm actually feeling something. Where he has the hologram. But once again, he's not used. These characters, just their story just has no importance. Like Finn nearly had a moment in The Last Jedi, but of course it was ruined by Rose Tico, so the weight was lifted from his character again, giving him no purpose whatsoever. He just survives it. Finn, I just feel like Finn's Finn, just a bumbling, running around stormtrooper who shouts and screams most of the time. Rey, who is a Mary Sue who can do anything because she's a woman. I just hate that attitude which they're taking, like forcing this gender pushing thing into the story to the point it's just ruining the story itself, and they just keep doing it. Like they're just embarrassing themselves at this point in time. Like Poe Dameron could have been something great, no, ruined. Rey could have been something great, ruined. Snoke could have been something great, ruined. Finn could have been interesting, ruined. Rose Tico, ruined when I first saw her on screen. I like the actress, she's very nice. Her character, terrible. Benicio del Toro's character could have been interesting, could have had an interesting story where perhaps he changes his mind and comes back and helps Rose and Finn. Ruined. That whole scene, there was so much emphasis and importance put onto that scene. They went to another planet, all these things happened there, and they didn't set out to do what they accomplished to do. Like, that's not a twist. That's just making everything before it pointless. Like, what's the point in seeing that? And that's the approach that has been taken in The Last Jedi. These so-called twists, doing the opposite to what the audience expects. That's not how you should go about it. The audience expects something because you made the audience expect something. The audience were led to believe these things had importance. So they were just completely ruined. And this form of story writing where it's do the opposite, and because it's the opposite, it's great storytelling, and I just don't understand it. It is the most confusing thing for me. And The Last Jedi, for me, when I really think about it, is just a terrible, terrible movie. And it sort of got rid of my Star Wars hopes and dreams. I couldn't be less excited for Star Wars Episode 9. It's got to be something seriously good to even make me want to go and watch it, because at the moment I just feel sad about these Star Wars movies. It just makes me feel like, wow, this Han Solo film that's coming up around the corner, like, be careful with that Disney Lucasfilm, because I feel like this is the film that's going to make or break you. And what I've seen in the trailer so far, with the young Han Solo, just why would they go down that route? Like, Han Solo was already young in A New Hope. Harrison Ford created that character. You can understand with Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness, because they were completely different. There was a massive age gap. So it allowed him to grow into him, and those similarities sort of meet in the middle. But how they're going about this Han Solo thing just worries me greatly. I have deep concerns about how this movie's going to go. The fact with the trailer, they kind of went half orchestral, half Guardians of the Galaxy, made me feel like, is this a joke? I mean, what's the point? What do we need to see these other actors playing these iconic characters? For me, no. They should have gone and done something and approached Ewan McGregor for Obi-Wan Kenobi. They should have done that. There are many other Star Wars standalone films I would like to see. I would love to see The Old Republic. They should have gone down that route. I feel like Episode 7, they shouldn't have done that. I know they wanted to bring back iconic characters, but they've used these characters to draw in the interest, but abused them on the screen. Completely abused them and just made them just sad. And you don't feel any good about these characters. Like, you don't feel good feelings about them in these movies. It's just, you were tricked into thinking they were going to be great and epic in these films. But I mean, Princess Leia, there were moments in there which I loved, and I felt, oh, it's Leia, you can't not love Leia. But Han Solo, you know, could have been really great, but you just knew how that was going to happen in The Force Awakens. It was so apparent and obvious. The Last Jedi, after I started watching it, I thought, it was the moment he threw away his lightsaber, I thought, yeah, they're going down that route with Luke Skywalker, rubbish. And Prince of Leia, obviously we're not going to have opportunity in the next film to see anything with Princess Leia, so that's why I thought Holdo was going to have some sort of importance in this film to take on a rebellion, but clearly not. So all these things taken into consideration, I could keep going on forever about this. There's so much to talk about. I feel so strongly about everything. I feel sad, unhappy. I don't know what to feel about these Star Wars movies. When I watch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Rogue One, I recently watched them all twice in a row. I did a massive marathon, and after watching them all, I felt great. I felt like, I needed that Star Wars. And I just had that feeling like action, adventure, you were taken to another place. And it's that form of escapism which is so important with these Star Wars films. But adding these modern day politics and everything into Star Wars and these recent Star Wars movies doesn't work. It fails miserably. Star Wars doesn't need to have those things because it's Star Wars. It's already diverse. It's alien. It's everything. Like, just leave it out of Star Wars. We don't need to see it. Kathleen Kennedy, I couldn't feel strongly enough that she needs to step down, and Dave Filoni needs to take over and lead Lucasfilm. The man understands George Lucas's vision for Star Wars. He understands Star Wars It's apparent that he knows that because of Rebels and what he's done with Clone Wars as well. Those are Star Wars things I want to see. And Kathleen Kennedy, I feel like, is just making things just to hit those profit margins, to force out the old original Star Wars fans and bring in a new batch of Star Wars fans, like get rid of the old, in with the new. But it's not working. I don't feel like it's working. I hate knowing that there are so many Star Wars fans unhappy and kind of in the same position that I am. And if you're probably still watching this, then probably what you are as well. And it shouldn't be like that with Star Wars. And that is the second main reason why I will not be buying this on Blu-ray. I feel like Star Wars, The Last Jedi, after hyping it up, being so excited, thinking that this is going to be the Star Wars film that just makes it all seem like Star Wars and rekindle some sort of love for the franchise or this current franchise. No, I've never felt so disappointed in a film. My expectations have never been so destroyed in a matter of 2 and whatever hours, so quickly and so harshly, and that is why I will not be buying this on Blu-ray when it is released. So I hope that you understand my reasons there. I highly recommend that you probably do the same as well. Just that fact that everything's not released together, that should just be something they do immediately, as every format should be released at the same time. There should be one date where it's all released. I truly hope that you don't feel the same way as me when thinking about The Last Jedi. I really wouldn't want anyone who's as big a Star Wars fan as I am to feel how I feel about these new Star Wars movies. Like, people could just say it's just a movie. It's not just a movie. It's always and always has been so much more. And that's why it means so much to me, and that's why I made this video explaining why I will not be getting this myself. If you feel the same way, then of course I would love to know your thoughts. And even if you will be buying this, even if you didn't like the movie, if it's like a necessity that you have to buy it. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this rant, which I really wish I didn't have to do, but I have to tell someone. Like, it's inside of me, and you have to let it out. And just sadness, disappointment, and all those sort of feelings is how I feel about The Last Jedi. Truly feel. And I wish it wasn't so, but it is. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. Remember, the Force will be with you always.